Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert, covering lawsuits causing panic as companies are dropping their ESG propaganda. Lawsuits are getting the job done along with boycotts. Changes starting to happen. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. Coming from the Wall Street Journal, the fight against diversity programs targets small business aid. Lawsuits challenging diversity efforts take aim at funding for small businesses, prompting some to reevaluate their criteria. The story here is that big companies, for woke diversity points and for ESG bonuses. Yes, people are getting a lot of bonuses. Companies are discriminating against people for their own standing as a company, but executives are doing this at the companies and getting paid a bonus for it. Here's a little bit on the bonuses because we haven't seen much of this before. ESG bonuses are on the rise. Are they improving sustainability or just increasing executive wealth? An increasing number of companies are paying bonuses to executives in the pursuit of sustainability. Driven by an ever-growing focus on global issues, more than 3/4 of large publicly traded companies in Europe and North America now use ESG metrics when determining executive bonuses. In addition, nearly 2/3 of companies in Europe and the United Kingdom now include environmental criteria as part of their executive incentive schemes. Typically, annual cash bonuses represent about 24% of a typical CEO's pay. Since bonus payments depend on the achievement of specific performance goals, their influence on executives' actions tends to be more immediate. Stephen Miller and Gene Hamilton from America First Legal, already suing Kellogg's, already suing Target, are now going after some of these big companies for discriminating programs that are unfair. Legal activists seeking to roll back diversity programs have sued big companies such as Comcast, Progressive, and Starbucks, as well as the government. In reality, many of their lawsuits target programs that aid small businesses. The Wall Street Journal identified roughly a dozen lawsuits that take aim at programs providing financial support, business opportunities, or other services to small businesses owned by entrepreneurs who are Black, Latino, or otherwise somehow considered disadvantaged. If you're trying to start a small business, and I've done it a couple of times before, let me tell you, you are disadvantaged. It's very competitive, it's very difficult, and most small businesses fail within their first year. Not that you shouldn't try, it's just not easy to do. Everyone deserves the same fair chance. Plaintiffs say that programs that limit participation to certain racial minorities or other groups are discriminatory, and that they are asking that the aid be open to everyone. Much of the litigation is still in its early stages, but the challenges or threat of them are beginning to reshape corporate and government assistance aimed at specific groups of entrepreneurs. Such as shown here, law firms alter diversity programs amid legal challenges. Changes by two firms come as employers look to preserve minority opportunity efforts after Supreme Court's affirmative action ruling. This was from Edward Blum, who got the Supreme Court case win earlier this year on affirmative action. Quote, "The fact that all these lawsuits are going on is creating a shockwave," said Gary Cunningham, a consultant on entrepreneurship and supplier diversity. Supplier diversity, by the way, means what you think it means. It means different suppliers based on the ESG kind of diversity. It used to mean supplier diversity is supposed to be choosing different suppliers so that you have a steady flow of whatever you need to operate your business, take care of your customers, and provide opportunities to employees and maybe your investors. It's not supposed to be a way to discriminate against people, but now people have made a career of being discriminatory. To defend these programs against legal action, some groups behind them are changing in ways that will shift aid away from intended recipients, Cunningham said. They are retrenching. Progressive, the insurance company, partners with a financial technology company called Hello Alice to provide $25,000 grants to Black small business owners. In August, Freedom Track Dispatch, a small trucking company, sued in U.S. District Court in Cleveland, alleging that the grant program violates a provision of the Civil Rights Act of 1866, known as Section 1981, designed to prevent racial discrimination in contracting. Freedom Trucks owner Nathan Roberts said he received an email pitch detailing the grant and began filling out the application before realizing the program was only open to Black-owned small businesses. A grant, of course, is just basically free money. A grant is not a loan. A loan you have to pay back. A grant is not an investment. A grant is a handout you don't have to give back. Quote, demographic characteristics of the owner should not matter at all, said Gene Hamilton, an attorney for Roberts with activist law firm America First Legal. Quote, for every one business of one demographic that you're able to help, you're hurting 10 others. This is Gene Hamilton. He's vice president and general counsel for America First Legal, working with Stephen Miller. Of course, Stephen Miller used to be an advisor to President Trump when President Trump was in office. Neil Katyal, who's representing Hello Alice, called the lawsuit meritless. Section 1981, Katyal said, is a narrow statute about contracts that doesn't apply to what Hello Alice and Progressive are doing. Neil Katyal is often on MSNBC, giving very strange advice that basically just supports the woke agenda. Not surprised to see his name here. The Lab Drawer, provider of science and arts and education kits based in Detroit, received one of the 10 grants issued. So that's $250,000 they gave away on a discriminatory basis. Co-founders Alicia Gabriel and Deidre Robertson said they haven't been able to secure loans for their business, so they relied on grant financing instead. And nothing wrong with that if you can get grants for your business. And you can sometimes, no matter what your skin color is. That's a great thing for your business. Google grant financing if that's something that applies to you. If you're looking to get into small business, sometimes you can find it. They plan to put the funds toward the purchase of a cargo van to transport their teaching tools to schools. Now, they got the money. Why they haven't already bought this cargo van, I'm not sure. And I'm not sure if they even go and look at how these people are spending the money. Sometimes it's good to give people things based on merit because it shows they know what they're doing. If these guys are going to do some kind of a distribution service and they haven't even bought the van that they have the money to buy the van with, maybe they're not using it properly. Hello Alice co-founder and president Elizabeth Gore said she believes much private sector funding for small businesses wouldn't be available if diversity criteria were prohibited. Supporting small businesses alone isn't a big enough draw, Gore said. There has to be a wrapper around it, she said, such as that a program is tailored to women, people of color, or military veterans. Quote, I'm already seeing a chilling effect, Gore added. Groups challenging diversity programs say the blame for any disruption in small business funding lies with those who discriminate through the programs. This isn't like we just started small business grants and small business funding since this big equity in everything push, where they're not equal, but they're trying to have equity. This kind of funding has been around forever. Decades, forever. Quote, it's their fault that they did it in the first place and not the fault of the plaintiffs that are holding them to account in the court of law, said Dan Lennington, deputy counsel of the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty, which represents a white male software company owner suing a Texas county and a nonprofit over a COVID aid program for diverse small businesses. Such lawsuits don't have to reduce how much small business aid is available because they aren't asking that the programs will be shut down, he added. Black people account for 13.6% of the U.S. population and 2.4% of companies with employees. Half of Black-owned small businesses and 32% of those owned by Hispanics reported being denied credit compared with 18% of those owned by whites, a survey last year by the regional Federal Reserve banks found. Of course, it's ridiculous to base credit on what someone's skin color is, just the same way you shouldn't be basing grants on what skin color people are or investments on anything based on the skin color of someone. You have to look at who they are as a person, what their history is. If you're trying to borrow money, you should be able to show that you can pay it back. This isn't that complicated. Legal outcomes of the initial litigation have been mixed. In August, a federal judge in Spokane, Washington, dismissed a lawsuit against Starbucks executives and directors filed by a conservative think tank alleging they had violated their fiduciary duty to shareholders, in part by promising to increase annual spending on diverse suppliers. The think tank said it doesn't plan to appeal. That think tank has done good work, and I know that story, but they're not killers in the legal realm. They really don't have strong lawyers, and they didn't really set up this case very well. Obviously, if the Supreme Court can get rid of affirmative action in college applications, you can go after Starbucks for offering exclusionary programs like that. Comcast late last year settled a lawsuit filed by Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty accusing it of illegally favoring minority-owned small business customers with grants and marketing advice. The grant program was open to all small businesses, which the company said reflected a changing economic environment. A federal judicial panel in Atlanta blocked Fearless Fund, which helps companies founded by women of color securing financing from making a $20,000 grant from its foundation. A lawsuit brought by Edward Blum, the activist who successfully challenged affirmative action programs in higher education, called the grant program discriminatory, which of course it's discriminatory. Why do they have to even couch it this way? Fearless plans to seek further appellate review, arguing that charitable organizations have an established right to issue grants consistent with their mission, said Alfonso David, an attorney representing Fearless. They're also represented by Benjamin Crump, a lawyer that you see all over the country every time there is publicity about a racial incident and the police. Efforts to craft programs that target disadvantaged entrepreneurs without explicit mention of race could still be subject to litigation if they mostly benefit certain groups, said Blum. Quote, that very well may be the next battle, said Blum, who has challenged several companies' diversity policies. Quote, it's going to be case by case. Some small business owners say they've been hurt by loosening eligibility requirements as they no longer are favored for funds. In 2021, the Small Business Administration was unable to fund nearly 3,000 Restaurant Relief Fund grants after a federal judge found that the agency's approach for handing out the money was unconstitutional. Congress had directed the SBA to give priority to restaurants owned by minorities, women, and other disadvantaged groups in doling out the funds. The judge said grants must be distributed on a first-come, first-served basis. Quote, we were put to the end of the line and they ran out of money before they got the majority of people, said Gregory Leon, chef and owner of Amalinda, a restaurant in Milwaukee that was approved for a $285,000 grant but never received the money. So that's free money. May as well fill out the paperwork, I guess. The $28 billion program ran out of funds before Amalinda's grant could be funded under the court-ordered approach. Leon, who is Latino, said it was difficult for his 50-seat restaurant to compete for workers with local restaurants that had received grants. Amalinda still isn't open as many days as he would like, Leon said, and hasn't been able to replace aging equipment. And it's unfortunate that other restaurants got grants and he didn't get grants and he's got to compete with them. I don't know if they all got grants or how much each of those other restaurants got, but that's the problem with unfairly picking winners and losers. Just do it all the fair way. The SBA was recently required by a court to revise its certification process for a long-standing federal contracting program known as 8A in response to a separate lawsuit alleging that the way the program operates is discriminatory. New applicants and nearly 4,000 small businesses already participating must submit applications spelling out why they are disadvantaged to secure training and fast-track access to government contracts. Well, government contracts can almost be like free money sometimes. Yeah, they should be fairly offered to businesses to compete with. And if they're for disadvantaged businesses, it can't be based on race. What are you doing? Quote, the program is open for business, said SBA Administrator Isabella Guzman, adding that the SBA stands by its efforts to level the playing field. As the lawsuits increase, corporations and nonprofits are scrutinizing their DEI programs. Quote, we have support organizations that are wondering if they need to scrub the word black from their websites or people of color or rethink how they describe their work, said Kelly Burton, Chief Executive of Black Innovation Alliance, whose members help Black entrepreneurs launch and grow their businesses. Black Innovation Alliance encouraged members to evaluate whether they face legal risk. If you feel that litigation would serve as the death knell to your organization, undergoing extensive risk mitigation might be advisable. BIA wrote to members in a recent advisory. If you want to do something for someone that you know, and you want to help them out, you want to write a check to them, you want to give them a special opportunity, that's one thing. But when you have the government, when you have big companies, when you have people who are incentivized by executive bonuses for ESG programs, no, there can't be any discrimination. It has to be fair. If you want to offer money or you want to offer loans, grants to disadvantaged people or disadvantaged companies, that's fine. Let them fill out the application, but don't weigh it one way or another based on someone's skin color. That's just not fair, and it's completely un-American. Really happy to see Stephen Miller and America First Legal continuing to go after these cases. I see one after another, and I guarantee you I will be covering them on this channel. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.